Hello and welcome. This is my February wrap up, which is kind of late. It's actually very late. It's 15 days late. We just hit spring break. Like technically it starts tomorrow, but for me it starts today because I don't have anything to do on Fridays. So because of that, I'm doing this now and hoping to get it out in the next couple days, post it in the next couple days, and then obviously read for March and whatever, and then I'll do that one on time, I hope. But before I start, can we just have a moment for this scarf? Because I'm so obsessed with it. It's so pretty. It's so spring coated and I'm living for it. And this is the first time I'm wearing it, by the way. But yeah, anyways, that's that. So I think I only read 5 books in February. School started on the 1st, and then I had a bunch of reading to do for my classes, and I did read a couple short stories, which I'm going to talk about briefly because they were really, really good and they stayed with me afterwards, and I figured I'm reading short stories, might as well talk about those too because they're really nice and also they're easy to get through. Okay, so the first book that I read in February was A Gathering of Shadows by schwab, and she's one of my favorite authors, so love this. I liked it better than the first one. So this is the second book in a series. I liked the second book, this one, more than the first one. The first one was a little bit slow for me and it took me a while to get through, but this one I definitely enjoyed and was really, I was listening to it on audiobook and I was really interested and kept wanting to listen. So I'm looking the summary because I don't want to do spoilers, but I am going to spoil a little bit of the first book, tiny bit. It's not huge spoilers. I don't think it would ruin the reading experience because I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there's going to be basic plot elements that I'm going to discuss. So if you want to go, you can go. In the first book, Kel is given an object to take to his London. Red London? Yeah, okay, I was right the first time because this is the second record. But so Kel is from Red London and Lila is from Grey London. Yeah, and actually I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say Kel is from a different, Lila's from a different London. Kel can move between the different worlds in London. So there's White London, Red London, Black London. I'm pretty sure there's a Grey London. And Kel is given this object and is hey, take it with you. And he's used to doing that, so he actually takes it from the lady who gives it to him. And it turns out it's an obsidian stone that has really powerful evil magic, and he's not supposed to have it. So then him and Lila end up kind of teaming up and then trying to get the obsidian stone back to Black London. Yes, okay. So that's what happens in the first book. And then in the second book, oh my god, I'm remembering what happens in this book now. I ate it up. It was so good. But basically, Lila is now with a bunch of pirates, or they're not pirates. They're official pirates. So they're pirates, but they're not pirates. And Kel is back in the palace with his brother Rai and the king and queen. And so there's a tournament and Kel participates, Lila participates, and they don't know who's who because they're both under, they both have disguises because they're not supposed to be participating. For Lila, it's you need to have registered basically. You need to have signed up to be in the tournament, and she found out about it too late. And Kel, he can't put himself in danger, and the king and queen, especially the king, is becoming hardcore obsessive over him and being no, you can't get hurt. Okay, this is a spoiler, so don't listen. But his life is attached to Rai because of what happened in the first book. Okay, yes, perfect. You can come back now. So this was really good. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. I enjoyed it so much. The tournament was so good. The tournament, I'm literally giggling. It was so good. So excited to continue the series, and I'm actually just waiting on my loan to come in from the library. What's funny is that when I was waiting for the subsequent books, so I put a hold on A Gathering Shadows, which is the second book, and then A Conjuring of Light, which is the next one I want to read. I put a hold on both of them, and then Conjuring of Light came first, and then I had to be like, no, I can't right now. I got A Conjuring of Light like 2 times before I got Gathering of Shadows, but then I got it and listened to it, and so now I'm waiting for the third one. So the next book I finished is These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, and this I read as an ebook, and it was so fun. It was like very much fairy romantasy. It was all fun. I'm gonna be so for real. It was really entertaining. Basically about this girl who lives in the human lands, and then her sister is taken by fairies, and she's like, oh my god, I have to go see my sister. She goes to save her sister. And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's really fun. There were a lot of like twists and stuff that I wasn't expecting. I still don't know who she's meant to be with. I'm sure that I have to read the next books to figure that out, but I'm not super intent on reading the subsequent books in this series, so I might pick it up at some point, but I'm not planning on it. It was entertaining, which is what I wanted from the book, and I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't like, oh my gosh, so good, but it also wasn't like terrible. The writing wasn't that bad. Character development stuff was pretty good. Actually, I really liked Sebastian's character, and I liked Finn. I think his name is Finn. Yeah, I would recommend it. I would recommend it for anyone who's like looking for fairy stories or something like that. It was pretty good. The next book I listened to, another Taylor Jenkins Reid, narrated by Julia Whalen, Malibu Rising. And this was kind of juicy. I liked it. It was, again, this was another very entertaining book. Not really necessarily profound, but it was good. It basically follows Nina, who is this like big star, and then her family's gonna go through a party. It kind of flashed, and I've noticed Taylor Jenkins Reid, she does that a lot, where it's a lot of like flashbacks, present day, present day. And I think romance authors I've noticed kind of do that a little bit. It's basically paralleling Nina and her life with her mother and her relationship with Nina's dad. It's just kind of about the different choices that are made in each of their lives and how that carries on. So it was really interesting because I was curious to see what decisions Nina would make that might be different or the same as her mother, and that might and the ways in which like their lives were kind of in some ways similar and in some ways not, and even the similarities between Nina and her dad. But I really liked it too because there was a huge cast of characters. There was also Nina's siblings and the people that they were in relationships with. It was really good. I really liked it, and I would definitely recommend it. I think I kind of liked this one a little bit more than some of the others that I read, and I gave it 3 stars. So it's not bad. It was pretty good. So the next book that I read, and I read this on ebook because I got it from Libby, even though I had a copy and I wanted to mark it up. And I definitely want to reread this because I think there's so much that can be kind of noted from it and annotated with it. But I started reading it as an ebook, and then I was running out of time because I needed to finish it for my class. So I ended up listening to the rest of it on audiobook, and the narrator was pretty good. I don't know their name, but yeah, they did a good job. So the book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This was really good. There were some parts where obviously Mary Shelley was 19 when she wrote this, which is kind of profound. When I was talking about it with my fiction to film class, we were talking about how like there's letters at the beginning of this novel that kind of seem unnecessary, and it was basically there because Mary Shelley wanted to propagate her political opinions, which very cute of her because she had some pretty interesting insights. I mean, she writes about this like sub story of like, oh, this man told me that he was supposed to marry this girl, and then the girl told him, oh no, I don't want to marry you, I want to marry this other guy, but he doesn't have enough money. And then he gave the girl and the guy she wanted to marry money and left them to it. Basically, it was very clearly like anecdotes and stuff that she was trying to get across of like, this is how we should live or how people should operate. But the story itself, obviously it's Frankenstein. I think a lot of people know what the story is about, or even if you don't know exactly what it's about, you know about the Frankenstein monster, which is usually represented as like a green monster with like screws in his neck. Honestly, I didn't know a lot about the story. I did know that Victor Frankenstein, which is actually the guy who creates the monster, and I don't like calling the I'm gonna call it creature because I don't like calling it monster. I don't think it's a monster. Victor Frankenstein finds this like secret science, learns how to give life. Specifically, he gives life to this one creature, and then in the aftermath of that, it's just like, oh my god, what have I done? And then starts running away from it, hoping that the creature died, and kind of leaving it at that and telling himself, okay, well, that's that on that. Like, I'm not gonna do it again, but it was fun while it lasted. I also think this is like a side note that's not super related to the plot. One of the questions that comes up when reading this is who's the real quote unquote monster? And is it Victor Frankenstein for creating something and then just abandoning it and running away and hoping it dies? Or the creature for not knowing how to navigate his emotions and then doing really, like, obviously really bad things, but I mean, he doesn't necessarily know any better, which is a weird take, but at the same time, it's like, as you're reading this, you're realizing, and you get to a point in the middle of the novel, I think, or towards the end, where you get the creature's point of view, and he's telling Frankenstein, like, you left me, you didn't tell me what to do with my emotions, you just told me, you just created me and then left me to die, and now you're complaining that I'm wrecking your life, like, you wrecked mine, by even like creating me in the first place. Anyway, all that to say that this was really, really profound, and there's a lot of parts and stuff that when I was reading the ebook I highlighted. Definitely want to reread this book and like annotate and stuff in the fall, closer to Halloween and stuff. But yeah, that was Frankenstein. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, so the next 3 things I'm going to talk about are all short stories. And I really wanted to talk about them because they were so interesting. So the first one is Eula by Deesha Philyaw. This is a short story about 2 women who have like somewhat of an on and off relationship, but one of them is a devout Christian and is still like intent upon getting married to a man. And the narrator is the other woman who isn't as religious and living her life. It's this like dynamic between the 2 of them of like one being super religious and to the point where she's like, oh, I'm actually still a virgin because I've never been with a man. And then the narrator who is not religious and is like, girl, I don't think that's how it works. So it was really, really interesting. Very short and like an easy read, but it really stayed with me. It's something that like I keep thinking about and returning to, this like idea of how we perceive the world and how we perceive different events that occur, and also things that we do with different lenses, and the way that a lot of people are attached to religion and these guidelines and stuff that are just set up for them because they're just doing it because they think they're supposed to be. I thought it was like so interesting, and also just to see the ways in which a lot of people limit their lives or limit themselves because of these perceived rules. Really interesting just seeing that contrast. Just a really interesting commentary on the role of religion in your life and how that affects you, whether you participate in it or not. This keeps falling. Next short story that I want to talk about is called Emergency by Denis Johnson. I don't remember a lot about this story. I do know it's about this guy who is working in a hospital, and then I don't even remember. It was not that remarkable, actually. Remember some scenes sticking out to me, like I know towards the end they like pick up some guy, and the point earlier they get lost as they're like driving around, and I think they kill a rabbit or something. I don't remember, but that was a short story I read. I still recommend reading it. It was good. I just don't remember anything about it. That's that on that. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, another short story. So basically in my fiction to film class, we were told to find a short story and then adapt it to film. So that's what we've been doing. I'm in a group with 2 other people, and we've been meeting up and like rewriting the script and stuff. And this short story is by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's called The Incredible and Sad Tale of Innocent Erendira and Her Heartless Grandmother. It's a very long title. And basically, I know this story up and down, right and left, because I've been reading it over and over and over again about this girl named Erendira, and she's living with her grandmother, but then she's like doing a lot of chores. It's very Cinderella-esque, actually. She's doing a lot of chores, and then she is so exhausted that like she takes this candle into her room and then puts it by the window, and a wind blows and the candle falls and everything burns, like the whole house burns down. And then the grandmother is like, this is your fault, girl, you need to make up for it. It's a really crazy short story. This is word for word from the short story. She sells her granddaughter's virginity to this widower who buys virginities. And then after that, oh my God, this is so bad. They take whatever's left of the wreckage, like the damage, the fire damage, to a truck where there's smugglers. She makes her sleep with everybody in the truck to pay for the like ride. And then the grandmother sets up tent and starts forcing Erendira to sell her body from the tent. And then this guy comes and he's like, you're so pretty, let me be with you. Let me help kill your grandmother. Erendira's like, okay. And then they try to kill the grandmother together. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you the ending. It's actually quite a long short story. It's like 64 pages. Not very like it. I don't know. I read another short story. I think it was a short story. It was a novella by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's the melancholy. What was it? Life of a Melancholy. I don't remember, but I read something else by him and it was also very weird. So I'm not surprised. This one was kind of crazy and we're taking it and rewriting it so that it's less horrifying while trying to stay true to the actual story. But yeah, so that's the last short story that I read in February. I think I read it in February. No, I did read it in February. Did I read it in February? I want to talk about the books that I'm reading / still reading / trying really hard not to DNF, which is here. This is my little, I got this thing that like turns and like I'm having so much fun with it. So this is some of the books that I'm reading right now, but I'm reading others, listening to the second book in the Poppy Wars trilogy, which is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I'm about halfway through. All I'm gonna say about that is that there's a character who died in the first book, and I refuse to believe that this character is dead. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll see what happens. So that's the first one. The next couple books that I'm reading right now. So I'm still reading Fish Have No Feet. I posted about my Instagram a little bit too. I'm having a rough time with this. The plot is so slow and I don't think that the characters are like that developed either. So I'm not really enjoying it, but I'm trying to force myself to get through it for two reasons. One is I've read like a good amount of it, and I do think that some of the parts are like interesting. Which is the main reason, is because my uncle bought me this book and I really want to read it because he gave it to me. Thank you to my uncle. I would like this. The next book that I'm reading is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. I think that's how you say her name. I really hope that is. I should have probably looked it up before. This book, it's about writing, I think. It's like writing advice and stuff. It is, actually. It is. I don't think. It is about writing and writing advice. And she teaches writing, so she decided to write a book about writing. I'm reading it because I'm starting to work on my thesis, or I have been, but I'm like trying to be more serious about it. And it's been stressful. So I was hoping that I read this and it's a little bit inspirational. I read On Writing by Stephen King a couple of years ago and I really like that. Okay, the last book that I'm going to talk about that I'm currently reading, amongst the many that I am reading right now, is this one, Daughter of the Moon Goddess. First of all, can we appreciate how pretty the cover is? Like, this is so pretty. Oh my goodness. I am 60 pages through with this. I'm hoping to finish it over spring break. It's basically so far about the daughter of the moon goddess. So she's living on the moon with her mom, and then they get a visit by the celestial queen, who's like, I think something's amiss. And it turns out that the daughter is being kept hidden from the celestial goddess, and the daughter didn't know herself. And so before they can find out that she's there, the mother's like, you gotta get out of here, girl. Go, go, go. She is sent away with the servant. As they're running away, she gets dropped in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that's what's happened so far. No spoilers there because I haven't finished reading it. It's so magical. It feels really magical. They're gonna be like this. Okay, so those are all the books that I read this, well, not this month, last month. and some of the books that I'm reading this month. I think out of the bunch, if I had to recommend two, I would say definitely read Frankenstein. It's a classic, it's really good. Also, out of the others, tough question actually that I'm giving myself. I guess I would say read A Gathering of Shadows and that whole series. If you haven't read the first book, then definitely read it. I will say, I didn't say this while I was talking about it, but I remembered afterwards that that book, the first one, I started reading it and then I put it away because I was like, I cannot read this is so boring. And then I went back to it again because one of my friends was like, just get through the first book and you will enjoy the like later books. And she was right. So shout out to you. Yeah, that's all for now. I hope that weather is getting better where you are. Spring is coming because I'm hoping that it does very, very soon. But yeah, anyways, goodbye.